Welcome back to Forgotten Hollywood. Drama as a genre is based on the emotions of the characters. The Merriam-Webster Dictionary defines it as a state, situation, or series of events involving interesting or intense conflict forces. The most well-known form of this on television is the soap opera. To their credit, soap operas can last for decades as audiences follow the lives of their favorite characters, from youth through marriage, having children, finding out the children aren't theirs, getting divorced, getting back together, finding out they had a long lost twin, and so forth. There's a reason soap operas are parodied so much. They really focus on strong emotions, which makes sense because they are pure drama. Here is when this becomes a problem. Blended genres are a balance of two or more categories, such as the action comedy. Modern television has the medical drama, the crime drama, the teen drama, the urban fantasy drama, the legal drama, the spy drama, and the dramedy, or drama comedy. See the issue? They're all about the drama, and very often that drama takes over and eclipses the other genre. There's one section of television that is spared this, and that's the sitcom, which is pure comedy. Can drama creep into those? Yes, but usually only stays for an episode or two before it goes back to the regular format, and the format is key. Soap operas have longevity because every time one storyline wraps, another is already forming. This allows for the story to keep going and going and going and going. Modern television focuses on an overarching plot per season, and each plot has to be bigger and more interesting than the last in order to keep the audiences engaged. Never have I seen this more clearly than in the fantasy series Supernatural. The show was written to be a 5-season arc accumulating with the big bad in season 5 to be Lucifer himself. And then the show was supposed to end there. Trouble is, it went on for another 10 seasons. Each season, they had to come up with something bigger and scarier than, well, Satan. It got absolutely ridiculous, and I bailed on the show pretty early on, never looking back for religious reasons. Another example was the show Suits, which was about lawyers. Early on, each episode had an individual case where the main character was helping somebody, but there was also an overarching plot about this young lawyer not actually having a law degree. As the show progressed, it took more and more episodes to finish one case, eventually leading to entire seasons where they were just working on one case and all the twists and turns and betrayals during that case, and none of them connected to the case. It was really annoying that they shifted so far from how they started out, I just stopped watching the show. There is a reason why sitcoms are spared the fate of dramas. 9 times out of 10, they are episodic rather than serial. Episodic shows, favored by most of TV's history, are standalone episodes such as Monster of the Week things like Scooby-Doo, The X-Files, or Supernatural. Serial shows are more like Days of Our Lives, Band of Brothers, or HBO's Rome. It's a long story broken up into chapters, and only when you've seen them all do you get the whole story, assuming the story has an end at some point. These shows will sometimes include mini arcs, where a short storyline will be resolved in over a few episodes, but when one ends, there's always another one starting up. This is how the soap opera maintains its longevity. Personally, I prefer the episodic format where I can jump around to random episodes of different seasons and not have an issue. Many TV dramas start out that way, such as CSI. Each episode had its own plot within the parameters of the show, and missing the next episode won't hinder anything. However, most modern shows fall into the trap of the serial, emphasizing the drama. A modern remake that failed prey. A modern remake that fell prey to this is Perry Mason, although to be fair, it's actually a prequel. The original show that ran from 1957 to 1966 followed the episodic format, giving Perry a case a week, and he had uncovered the truth by the time the credits rolled. The new show, which premiered in 2020, spent the entirety of the first season on a single case, filling out the story with subplots about dirty photographs, a failing dairy farm, and Perry's ex-wife. They also added a sexual relationship for Perry. I would like to note that this is not a romance, as they did not seem to be that close emotionally, just physically. Most disappointing is that Perry was changed from a well-respected lawyer to an alcoholic that lied about his credentials so he could take the bar exam, become a lawyer, and he doesn't even win his first case. No surprise that this show didn't last past the second season. Drama in itself is not a problem. I have enjoyed many dramatic movies and shows over the years. Like with the never-ending Disney remakes, the problem with it is excess and how the plot is executed. The number one source for drama in television shows is relationships. The tension caused by a romantic interest can be very enticing. They knew that when they were making Gunsmoke in the 50s, which is exactly why Matt and Katie never tied the knot, even after 19 years on the show together. Once a couple is cemented, where's the tension? In a modern example, look at Castle. The relationship between Kate Beckett and Rich Castle hardly classified as a friendship in the early episodes, but over the years it developed a chemistry. Fans pushed for the couple to get married, and, as common for modern writers, they got what they wanted. Then what? The tension of the possible romance was gone. They crossed the finish line. The race was over. Let the cool down begin. However, not all relationships are romantic. There are ones between family members, friends, neighbors, even enemies. A favorite source of drama for modern writers is to ruin the strongest bonds. Often this means romantic couples, siblings, and best friends. This isn't a new thing. I can name a dozen episodes of Bonanza where the brothers were fighting, although many of those had comedic results. One of my favorite things about the brother dynamic is that they can mess with each other, tease each other, push each other around, beat someone up for doing the exact same thing, and then build their brother up because someone else tore them down. Brothers are my favorite in TV shows, but best friends that act like brothers are a close second. This is one of the many reasons I quit watching Supernatural, as it seemed that every other season after the fourth, and sometimes more often than that, the brothers didn't get along. I only watched the show because I liked their bond. Break that, break my interest. This is where the serial format becomes a problem for me. Episodic shows are self-contained storylines, possibly stretching to 2 or maybe even 3-parter. But no matter how many parts, the conflict is resolved by the end, allowing the next episode to start with a clean slate. Not possible for serials. Each episode or chapter picks up where the last one left off. It might be a full season before a couple makes up after a big fight, or brothers forgive each other, or best friends work out a misunderstanding, only to have something else happen. I first noticed this years ago when watching CSI New York, when my dad correctly identified the long-term subplot as a soap opera. Boy meets girl. Boy falls in love with girl. Boy is upset by something and cheats on girl. Girl gets pregnant and threatens to leave boy. Boy shapes up and marries a girl. Crazy man shoots boy and almost kills him. Boy is traumatized again. I stopped watching around that point, so I don't know how it resolved itself, if it ever did. It's interesting to note where the serial format began. It wasn't with television. It was actually years before that with movie theaters. As early as 1912, it was common practice for theaters to show shorts before films. The practice still continues today with some kids' movies. But that is where the serials started. It was a money-making scheme. Studios would churn out multiple movies a year. In 1934 alone, John Wayne headlined in 9 pictures, and that was before he was a big star. The films were the major draw, But to keep the audiences coming back to their theater, the owners would put a serial before the movie that changed each week for the next chapter. It would take as many as 12 weeks to finish a plotline, and audiences would pay for it. With the rise of television, movies became bigger, longer, and more spectacular to bring audiences in, but that resulted in fewer films. Right along with them were the pre-movie serials that stayed as a draw for audiences until 1956, the same year that half-hour-long soap operas appeared on television. Today we still pay for serials, though through streaming services, cable prices, and DVD sales. Studios are more honest about it now. It's no secret that the interconnected web of the Marvel MCU basically requires you to watch every single film if you want to understand what's happening with your favorite characters. Reality shows are just modern soap operas with fans tuning in to see how their choice contestant is doing with the drama of the week. Shows that are episodic on paper have become overcome by linked plot lines that have turned them into soap operas in all but name. This is why I like older shows. I can watch 1, 2, or 10 episodes in a month without issue. I don't lose my spot in the storyline, and I don't forget plot details that clear up what's happening. In short, I can't relax as well with modern shows. The tension, the drama, the adrenaline. For me, the perfect format is the hour-long episodic. Long enough to include more detail than a half-hour show, which I find to be too rushed, but still self-contained and satisfying. These days, everywhere you go for entertainment, it's all drama. The pull to see the next movie, season, or episode, it's enough to drive you crazy. Thanks for watching. What kind of shows do you prefer? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications, and I will catch up with you next time.